just lost his voice doing a lot of blue magic this weekend. And our next song featuring the girls is going to be Tall Castle. Alrighty, thanks everyone for coming out today. We're so happy to see you all here. We're going to do another song, another polka actually, one entitled the You Are the One Polka.
So we can take her off. Oh. It's like a band wide.
That's Kashika's
I don't see a corner here. Now you took behind the pillar.
All right, we're going to feature Rich Coyce on a vocal right now. One entitled "The Under the Oak Tree Polka."
Check, check. Wow, is that hot, Frank? 1, 2, 1, 2. White and black chord. Check. 1, 2. Checking. 1, 2. There you go. Getting better. 1, 2, 1, 2.
While we're waiting for them to get some of the sounds straightened out after switching bands, they're using the same equipment. Well, we've got our second of 6 bands that is appearing here today. We're at the
We're going to switch the tempo a little
Roosevelt
and
Hall
do an obetic
here
right
in
now
Norvell,
for all the
Pennsylvania.
obetic dancers.
And it's a benefit dance for the Children's
We're going to do
Hospital
one
of Pittsburgh.
entitled "To the Left Obetic," especially for
And
Sally and Tom.
want to say hi to Deb Romanowski that's watching with us. Also Paula Karankiewicz and Barb Mack out there. And thanks for joining us and others who may be watching and just haven't seen your name pop up. Let us know who's online. And
it down a little more right now and do one entitled The White Roses Waltz.
And while they're getting set up and a little organized, I want to say hi to
All right,
Tom
waltz stand
Borovich
by for
out
you
there
right now.
from
One entitled
the
White
Lorena
Roses
Lyria
Waltz.
area, and quite a show this morning. And as you can see, we are North Pennsylvania.
to the polka tempo. I'm going to do a song especially for Dee, one called When I Hear the Music. Everybody get your hands clapping out there. Thank you. I'm going to do another polka for you right now, one entitled the We Were Made for Each Other polka.
Hey there, Mark. How you doing? Mark Komar joining us here on the Facebook Live feed. Stacy and the New Tones, second band up this day for a benefit for the Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh. It's here at the Norvelt Hall
Here we
in
go, one
Norvelt,
entitled
Pennsylvania.
The We Were Made for Each Other.
Actually, you see Eleanor Roosevelt Hall.
We were made for each other. I'm for you, you're for me. There will never be another. Alrighty, we've got time for about one more song here to try to get back on track with the time. First of all, we'd like to thank Paul Hirschko for everything he does to hold this benefit for Children's Hospital.
Hello, Bob Zaharsky out there in Bryceburg. And good to see you on as always. Got Stacy and the Newtones here. They got one more song coming up. And then they'll be moving on to another band.
All right, so thank you,
Not
Paul.
sure who the
thank
third
you to
band
all the bands
is
who
yet.
donated their time to come out and play for the benefit for Children's Hospital. And a great big thank you to Jack Beachley. First of all, for all of the equipment for all the bands to use. That's wonderful that he does that. Also for filling in with us. And thank you to Rich Coyce, who used to be a member of the Newtones actually, years ago. And thankfully for us, he still remembers the songs. So to Rich and Patty out there, we're going to do one now entitled the Keep On Loving Me Polka. Also like to acknowledge Jerry and Gerald for coming all the way out. I think they might have been ones that traveled about the furthest to come here today, so we're thankful to have you here with us.
Thank you, Stacy.
All right, we've been told to do one more song.
Okay.
I think we'll do one entitled the Think of Me Polka.
Hello, Jeff Yash, out there in Polka land. We're out here in Norvell, Pennsylvania, part of the 6 bands that are appearing here. This is band number 2, Stacy and the Newtones. I'm not sure who's coming up next. They're setting up on the side, and I don't recognize a lot of the musicians. There's going to be 6 in total, right up until 7 o'clock.
Going to do this one especially for Helga with us
at
here
the
today.
Roosevelt Hall here in Norvell, Pennsylvania. Yeah, you never know, Jeff, where we'll turn up.
That concludes the New Tones portion of this evening. I'm not sure who's up next. PA Express is coming up next for your dancing and listening pleasure.
Okay, so we just heard that the PA Express is the next band up. We already heard from the Cosmics. They did the first set from 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock was Stacy and the New Tones, and PA Express is coming up next. In fact, here's a guy wearing a PA Express t-shirt. So
1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a nice round of applause for the New Tones. Like I said,
well, if you have not seen the entire set from Stacy and the New Tones, or if you want to also go back and check the set done by the Cosmics, you can go to Jerry Solowater to see the Cosmics, and you can go back here on my page and watch Stacy and the New Tones from pretty much the beginning. A little bit of problems initially trying to get the sound straightened out, but after that, it was all smooth sailing.
all right, folks, like I said, let's have a nice round of applause for the New Tones. Like I said, they've been here from day one of the Children's Hospital
So whoever's online, if you want to catch the entire set from the new tones, just go back and enjoy.
And I think
Jerry will be taking over, and we'll be doing the BA Express.
So hopefully next year we can